Welcome back, everyone, to the grand finale of our Mega Education Explainer series. A very warm welcome to all my intermediate second-year political science students tuning in right now. Listen up, because today we are tackling what is arguably the most scoring, most essential topic for your final exams, and honestly, for your entire life as a citizen of India. We are completely mastering Part 3 of the Constitution. That's right, we are talking about your fundamental rights. So get those notebooks out, pay close attention because we're going to make this crystal clear.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is your roadmap for today. I want you to mentally photograph this exact structure for the exam. We've got 6 parts, starting with the shield of Indian citizens, moving into equality and freedom rights, then exploitation and religious freedom. After that, we'll hit culture, education, and remedies, followed by state rules and restrictions, and finally, the democratic backbone. 6 simple steps to total mastery.
Let's hit Section 1, the Shield of Indian Citizens. We need to figure out what Part 3 actually represents for everyday Indians.
Let's lock down the exact definition first. Fundamental rights are the basic rights guaranteed by our Constitution, sitting right there in Part 3, which covers Articles 12 to 35. But why are they there? Their primary job is to protect your individual liberty, your equality, your dignity, and your freedom. And here's the absolutely crucial part for your exam prep. They protect us against arbitrary actions of the state, meaning the government just can't do whatever it wants. If they cross a line, these rights are a literal shield you can enforce through the courts. They aren't just suggestions on paper.
Now, when you sit down in that exam hall, I want this giant number to just pop into your head. 6. The Constitution groups your fundamental rights into exactly 6 basic categories. Memorize the number 6, and you instantly have the framework to write a perfect, full-marks answer.
Moving to Section 2, Equality and Freedom Rights. Let's start unpacking the very first layers of this constitutional armor.
The first category is the right to equality, and this covers Articles 14 to 18. Watch how beautifully this logic builds up. Article 14 sets the absolute baseline, equality before the law for everyone. Once that foundation is down, Article 15 steps in to actively prohibit discrimination on grounds like religion, race, or caste. This naturally flows right into Article 16, which ensures equal opportunity in public employment. And this brilliantly illustrates India's progressive vision. Article 17 delivers a powerful constitutional strike against deep historical inequalities by completely abolishing untouchability. Finally, Article 18 wraps it up by abolishing titles, really leveling the playing field for all citizens.
As we shift into our second category, the right to freedom, guess what? That magic number 6 comes right back. Because Article 19, all by itself, guarantees exactly 6 basic freedoms to every single citizen.
Let's look at the full right to freedom category, which spans Articles 19 to 22. Beyond those 6 initial freedoms in Article 19, Article 20 steps in with protections if you're ever accused of an offense. This leads directly to Article 21, which is quite literally the heartbeat of your personal existence, the protection of life and personal liberty itself. But let's pull back from exam mode for just a second. Just think about the real-world weight of Article 21A. It guarantees free and compulsory education for children up to 14 years old. It literally secures the future of the nation's youth. And wrapping up this category, Article 22 provides crucial safeguards against arbitrary arrest and detention.
All right, Section 3, Exploitation and Religious Freedom. This is where we transition into rights that protect the most vulnerable and secure our spiritual liberty. Category number 3 is the right against exploitation. Now, it only covers Articles 23 and 24, but the scope is massive. Article 23 strictly prohibits the darkest parts of society, human trafficking and forced labor. Right next to it, Article 24 shields the most helpless by banning the employment of children in hazardous occupations. You see, these aren't just random laws to memorize. These are the specific, hard-hitting rules that protect human dignity for those who can't protect themselves.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our fourth category, the right to freedom of religion, Articles 25 to 28. It starts on a very personal level, with Article 25 giving you the freedom of conscience to profess, practice, and propagate your faith. But faith is communal too, right? So Article 26 grants the freedom to actually manage your own religious institutions. To protect our secularism, Article 27 ensures nobody is forced to pay taxes to promote any specific religion. And Article 28 keeps our educational spaces balanced when it comes to religious instruction. Together, these perfectly map out India's unique commitment to secularism.
Moving right along to Section 4, Culture, Education,
and remedies. This is all about safeguarding minority identities and getting to the ultimate enforcement tool.
Category 5, Cultural and Educational Rights, sits at Articles 29 and 30. India is brilliantly, beautifully diverse, and Article 29 acts as a cultural shield, guaranteeing the protection of minority languages, scripts, and cultures all across the nation. Building directly on that preservation, Article 30 secures the right of minorities to establish and administer their own educational institutions. It ensures our rich diversity doesn't just survive, but is actively nurtured for generations to come.
And now we hit Category 6. So, the crucial point is, all these amazing rights we just talked about, they mean absolutely zero without Article 32, the right to constitutional remedies. This is the very soul of Part 3. Article 32 gives you the direct power to approach the Supreme Court of India to enforce your fundamental rights. If your constitutional shield is cracked, Article 32 is exactly how you demand the highest court in the land to fix it.
Section 5. State Rules and Restrictions. Because, as political science students, you know that in a functional society, rights are rarely absolute without some boundaries.
We've gone through the core 6 categories, but remember, Part 3 spans all the way from Article 12 to 35. So what about the bookends? Now, what's really interesting about this is the contrast between the absolute protection at the beginning and the practical reality at the end. Articles 12 and 13 set the stage, defining what the state is and explicitly voiding any laws that clash with your rights. On the flip side, Articles 33 to 35 deal with the nitty-gritty of governance, the restrictions, enforcement mechanisms, and the powers Parliament has to tweak these rights in highly specific scenarios, like maintaining discipline in the armed forces. It creates a perfectly balanced framework.
All right, Section 6, the democratic backbone. Let's bring it all home to the grand conclusion for this final mega education topic.
When you were drafting that concluding paragraph in your exam, I want you to lean on this exact sentiment. Fundamental rights are the backbone of Indian democracy. By protecting individual liberty, equality, and dignity, these rights do something truly monumental. They make sure the government functions strictly within constitutional limits. They transform us from mere subjects into empowered, protected citizens.
Which leaves us with this one final thought. You've memorized the 6 categories, you know Articles 12 to 35, and you are totally ready for those intermediate exams. But look beyond the exam hall for just a moment. If Article 32 allows you to walk right into the Supreme Court to enforce these rights, how are you going to use your constitutional shield in the real world? This isn't just syllabus material, my dear students. This is your lifelong protection as an Indian citizen. Know them, respect them, and be ready to use them. Thank you so much for joining me for this incredible run with the Mega Education series. Best of luck on your exams and keep learning.